What's up, YouTube? This is Jay from Jayco, and today we're going to have a brief overview of the install of seat heaters in my wife's base model 2000 Forester. Also going to show a way of taking care of the lovely seat foam degradation in one of these cars. Stay tuned. Alright, we have our driver's seat out. I didn't show removal, as if you can't figure out the 4 bolts, you maybe shouldn't be attempting this. Once it's out, I've already gone ahead. We need to pull all of our screws out of the plastic trim. So there's one there, there's a cap, and then a 12mm bolt to pull the lever off. Another screw, there's a screw back there. And on the other side, more of the same, but it's a smaller piece. We just have that back screw, and there's a hidden screw there. I already removed the seat belt just to make things easier. Also of note, this is a 2000 Forester. My wife does not like the factory Forester seats, so these seats are actually out of a 2006 Impreza. So this would be similar to basically any of your GD body Imprezas. Okay, the trim came off. We removed our 4 14mm headed bolts that hold the seat back on, and we're going to start on the seat base. Now also you can see the accumulation of 20 years of grime basically on these. When you start pulling it apart, we've got tabs all the way around, so we're going to go ahead and get those undone. Alright, now that we have all of our underside clips done, we can start pulling our upholstery. Just got to work it through. As you're doing it, come to this first reinforcement, and there'll be hog rings. You just need to cut those hog rings, and that'll allow you to actually pick up that reinforcement bar that helps hold the upholstery down all nice and tidy. And we'll come over here. We got 2 more hog rings. Here, 1 here. I'll grab you guys and do. Alright, so a little view of where those hog rings were. Now that bar will lift. Now we're going to come to the other side where we still have 2 more hog rings tucked down in here. And we're just going to cut those 2, and that'll allow us to pull the cover completely. Alright, with our cover off, we can see just how bad this driver's seat foam was getting. That's a lot of miles and in and outs to wear it like that. So our secret weapon is we do a lot of Subarus here at the shop, and this is something that will work for others. We've got another seat foam. It's actually much better shape. It does have a little bit of wear right here. However, this is actually a passenger seat foam. So I had a parts car that I was able to strip the passenger seat, and the foam will interchange on these. So whether you have a parts car or not, if you can find a decent passenger seat, because it won't have all of this wear, you can transfer the foam over. And here's the new foam in place. It's actually just a simple lift up and slide on. Some generations there was a little bit of tape run under that front edge like on the earlier cars, so that's about the only thing you have to deal with. So now we can start placing our seat heater elements. Okay, just laying out the aftermarket seat heater pad for where we'll want it. Make sure we have it between our rails there. And then where this front is for our hog rings, I'm just going to make a couple lines with where the hog rings actually will lock in, because we'll need to make a cut there. Now of note, I can't stress this enough, when you buy aftermarket seat heaters, Amazon, eBay, even the Dorman kits from your local parts store, make sure that you plug them into an auxiliary battery and make sure that they heat up before you install them. I have had a couple over the years that the new pad were completely dead. I seen something in their solder joint in through there probably was broken. But you do not want to install all of this and then find out it doesn't work. Okay, we've made our rough cuts. You can see down in there is where the hog rings are going to go. So most of the kits come with this adhesive tape, and what we'll end up doing is we'll cut it and we'll line our edges of our cuts so that way we don't risk anything shorting out once we have it all back together. Alright, I've already pulled the tape to set the pad down in. We have our divot in here for that retainer. Now we're going to go ahead and start putting the upholstery back on. Okay, we just have the cover loose set on here. Usually the easiest way to do it, your side rails here, go ahead and get them positioned, and usually that end you want basically right down in the crook there, and you can also kind of tell from where the original hog rings were where you want to go. This is where a good set of hog ring pliers can really help. These are spring loaded. You don't want to try to use the absolute crap ones that come with these kits. These will just cause you hours of frustration. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead, take our pliers, trying to do this one-handed, and we get down in there and squeeze, and we now have a hog ring holding that in. So we'll just start repeating the process. We'll do this one, then we'll go over and we'll do the rail on this side, and then we'll move and we'll do this front rail. All right, our side rails are done. I did the front rail. You need to make sure that you're not accidentally putting it through the heater pad, because that will cause you a lot of issues. So after we've done that, we just start rolling the upholstery back down over the seat, and then we'll be able to start putting our snaps back in. Now that the upholstery is loosely on, we need to decide how we want to run our seat heater wire. There are a lot of sharp edges that we need to be mindful of. What I tend to do is I'll poke a small hole in the cover to run it through. On some seats you could actually bring it over to the side and run it through, but on this one we'll do the whole method. When it comes to putting the snaps back on, I always like to start at the back of the seat and then work my way around, and while doing it, making sure that all of the fabric cuts for your bolts and levers all line up. So we'll go ahead and get this one sealed up. All right, there's our relief for the wiring, but otherwise we're back. No more broken foam, and everything lines up the way it should. Now we're on to the seat back. All right, onto the seat back. What we actually have is down in here, the zippers are tucked in. So we undo those, and we'll undo our zippers. Doubling zipper. And this is just a tab similar to what's on the front. And we'll undo this to be able to get the seat cover up. And on the front side we'll have hog rings just like on the lower. All right, the upper heater loosely in place. On the backs, you don't really need to take all of the upholstery off, making it a little easier. So we'll end up making our marks, our cuts, so that we'll be able to hog ring this back together. All right, once again, big suggestion, hook it up before you put it back in the car and finish assembling the trim. And on this seat, they are actually working. We'll clean the upholstery and everything before final installation. All right, next up you'll be on to the installation of the wiring. On this car, it was actually easy to run it through the carpet and then up, terminating in the console area. My wife actually wants the factory Subaru switches, so that's what I'm going to wire up in here. And the relays I'll actually end up just having mounted to the floor under the seat, out of the way, but still easily accessible. Sorry for the dub over. Audio didn't record on this portion. So inside the car, we're hooked up to the factory switches. I always shorten the harness. The wiring will be dependent on your particular pinout for your vehicle. On the aftermarket seat heaters, I know that the red wire is always power, black is ground, yellow is your high heat, and green is your low. Subarus tend to be the blue wire is your keyed power, black is your ground. On the driver's side, the red with a blue tracer is high, green is low. Passenger side varies. So again, consult your manual. Make sure you're using good electrical practices. Solder and heat shrink. It'll save you potential troubles down the road. These harnesses will end up getting taped up before they're put back in place and everything gets put back together.